Good evening, and thank you for joining us for One on One. I'm your host, Lisa Lord. Now, last week, news emerged that the Barbados Association of Retired Persons would be lowering the age at which persons can become members of the nonprofit organization from 50 years old to just 40 years old. On this program, we sit down and discuss with the president of BARP about our future plans for the nonprofit organization, which has 22,000 members, and indeed her work with seniors across the island. And of course, my special guest is the president of the Barbados Association of Retired Persons, Miss Marilyn Rice-Boyne. Thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you so much, Lisa, for inviting me.
You're most welcome. Now, before we get to the hot topic, I want you to take me back into the history of BARP. Tell me a little bit about the organization. You're 26 years old now.
Yes.
Tell me about your aims, objectives, etc.
Okay. But we celebrated our 25th anniversary last year, October.
Mm-hmm.
And when BARP was formed back then, the entry age was age 50. I don't have too much information to share, which I can share with reference to what objection, if any, they would have encountered during that period. But if one reflects on life during that period, I don't think that, no, it's fair to say that the seniors would not have had the voice, the collective voice that they needed. So BARP coming together, forming BARP was to give seniors a voice, a platform. Or let's call it a platform, you call it a safe space, but a space where seniors can articulate their views, and a senior space, of course, where seniors could feel respected, where seniors still felt a need to be, not to be needed, but that they didn't want to feel as if they were being discarded,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a collective space for seniors. So BARP in the earlier days was the focus was a lot more on advocacy. Might not have called it then, called it by name back then, but the major focus was advocacy, and advocacy for seniors.
And you offer a lot of benefits to your members,
Mm-hmm.
group health, house insurance, etc.
We offer group health to seek to all of our members, and those persons, of course, who want to take up that offer. And our group health plan expires when one dies.
Mm-hmm.
So if one dies 101, that is when that plan expires. So whereas there are some group health products that expire at maybe 65, 70 or whatever, BARP's health plan expires at death. And so let's say it expires, even if you live to 100, 101, it would only expire at that point. And we also offer group life. Not the group life, a life benefit. What that really is it's a benefit that is paid to the loved ones of persons who pass. And some people call it a funeral benefit. You can call it last expenses. You could label it what you want to. But we thought that it was important that BARP made a contribution to the funeral expenses of our members. And this was achieved through the life benefit, which cost $58 per year.
Mm-hmm.
So for $58 a year, one's family would be entitled to $5,000 at their death. There is, however, a waiting period of a year, right? And let me just say here, Lisa, that plan, most of our products, they are more as a response to. And way back, we recognized that members were coming to BARP for assistance, to defray expenses for funeral expenses,
Mm-hmm.
So whereas in the initial period and your membership was not as high as it is now, you could give a little $1,000, a little $500. You found that as the membership expanded, then of course the requests for that level of assistance expanded as well. And the only answer that we could provide would have been through an insurance product, namely the life benefit. We also have our homeowners plan, that is the house insurance. And we have the lowest rate on the island when it comes to house insurance. Nobody, and this is a statement of fact. You know, the only thing you can do with a fact is amplify it. So our homeowners rates are the lowest in Barbados, BARP's homeowners plan. So we offer insurance in 3 categories: the life benefit, the group health, and the homeowners. And we also as a block, because, you know, 22,000 strong, we are a force to be reckoned with. We're not a pressure group, but we are advocates. And we we build advocacy on any issue that's affecting our members or the society as a whole. And we are always successful in our advocacy, I might say this, because quite recently we advocated, and we were successful. I think we are waiting for the final, when the bill goes to Parliament, but we had spoken out about, we met with government, the Ministry of Water and Public Works and Water Resources, the ministry that is in charge of the driver's licenses. And when they looked at renewal of the driver's licenses for the over 70s, and there were some concerns we had, and we spoke with our members, and then we went and we spoke on behalf of the members, and we were successful. So we do operate in some spaces, and it's not everything that we do, as particularly in the area of advocacy, that we might, you know, publicize. But our members are the beneficiaries. So they experience, they are the beneficiaries of whatever we do. And still under that same area of advocacy, what we also have done is that last year, but this has been suspended because of COVID, but on, I think it was Wednesdays, don't hold me to the date, but once a week, the urgent care mobile vehicle would come to BARP, but the appointments had to be made in advance. So persons who required fit to drive certificates for the driver's license, they were getting them at a really special BARP rate. But it was only available to BARP members, and the fit to drive certificates were granted there at BARP. And so that's insurance, that's medical. We also offer training, because we recognize that as a membership organization, training is important. And it was highlighted even more so during COVID, when we recognized that it was always on our cards to introduce our members to the digital technology. But we thought we had time. But in stepped COVID, and it changed the entire landscape of how you did business, how we do business, you know. So what has happened is, we've had sessions on how to use Zoom, and we've had sessions where representatives from Flow came in, and actually, this is prior to COVID, they held the phones and showed our seniors how to use a phone, how to send a WhatsApp and that kind of thing. And that was a very interactive session. And we recognize again the need to intensify our planning, our retirement planning programs. So because again, there's always constant requests for guidance in that area. We would not provide it as BARP, as a team from BARP, but there are resource persons that we can call in to offer that type of assistance. And then we have, over the last few months, our Consumer Affairs Committee, which is headed by Jean Martineau, they have been extremely busy. So you will recall, I think it was, time flies so quickly. Sometimes it looks like last year, sometimes it looks like this year. But we had sessions on the pyramid schemes. We had sessions on how to identify if you're entitled to a refund. So John had he and his consumer committee, they had sessions on Zoom, and they were all oversubscribed. So BARP is about training, and BARP, of course, is a reservoir of knowledge. So persons always tap in to to our membership, in our membership for assistance. And so it's that. And of course, there's a fun side to BARP. We offer the scenic bus tours, where we will take our members on bus tours, and they're offered complimentary lunch. Again, we are so anxious for the pandemic to just disappear, because there's so much we want to do. Because again, we recognize through conversation with our members, and particularly our senior members, that some of them have not seen the airport. Some of them have not seen the port. And all these changes that have occurred around the island that the younger persons take for granted. So we want to give them that experience. We want to see the joy in their faces. So we have all planned that for them as well. And we have on our books a plan to have a membership outreach. A membership outreach where we would go across the island. And one of our partners is the post office, General Post Office. That's we partner with them because one can pay your BARP, renew your BARP card at any post office island-wide. So if you live in St. Lucie, you don't have to come to BARP to renew. Yeah. You know, we look at, we try to get as close to you as we can. So that is why, there's always power in partnerships. That's true. So we've partnered with the post office. So we could go, you can go at any post office and pay your BARP premium, so your BARP membership. So we had also planned to have a membership drive, and we were going to go through the island and stop at different post offices. But as soon as COVID passes, as soon as everything is under control, we will bring that, BARP will go into the community. And so I've spoken about recreation, I've spoken about advocacy, insurance.
The discount.
I left out that, right?
You did.
Oh, that wasn't done deliberately, but because...
That's major.
That's major for some, but for us who sit at the planning level, we are more than a discount organization. We're stronger than that. We offer discounts because we recognize that our membership do deserve discounts, and we recognize because we would have met with partners over the years, they got to a stage in their business where they recognize, because of the reach of BARP, that BARP is indeed a strong organization that any business would want to align itself with, because when you think about BARP, you think about volume. And when you think about volume from a business perspective, you think of dollars and cents. So BARP represents more business, but it represents, that's a part of the benefits for our members. And our discounts are not only, our discounts extend into the health area. So some persons, if you're going to get a lab test done, you can get your discounts there. You get your discounts at certain fast food restaurants. You get your discounts at the computer stores. You have to buy your paper, your ink. You get your discounts at stores in Bridgetown. You get your discounts many places. I mean, and what we always advise our members, if you don't see our little BARP decal, ask, do you offer a BARP discount? Because if you ask that question often enough, and that business has not even considered it, certainly they would then approach us about offering discounts because of the number of inquiries. So BARP is, of course, Lisa, much more than discounts, and of course, it's a huge base, and you get to expand your social contacts, because we meet so many people, so very many people because of COVID, not on a daily basis, but we meet a lot of people.
I'm smiling as I ask about the discounts, because in a few years' time, Lord willing, I'll be 40. And now at 40, you can join BARP.
Yeah.
That was a major decision coming out of your AGM last week. Tell me about the reasoning behind lowering this age to 40 to become a BARP member.
Okay, good question, Lisa, because we've been really busy since that action has been completed, that resolution was passed. First, let me put on the table our thanks or gratitude to the team that worked on the resolutions, because they did a lot of work. It was not an overnight project. You know, they went deep and they met with us, and we went back to the board, and you know, we had some movement there, but it was all in the interest of the movement. And what was even more gratifying is that the team that brought the resolutions to life, let's call it that, the resolutions team, they're all senior members of BARP, past presidents, they're honorable, distinguished members of society, but they saw the wisdom. They saw the wisdom in ushering this change. So it shows that BARP, we are not, as you know, some people think you're a stagnated group of seniors. But no. They recognize that the BARP of yesteryear had to change, and we had to move with the times. And so I must applaud them on behalf of all the members, and of course on behalf of the future members of BARP, for their wisdom and their courage and their commitment to assist us, you know, to have assisted us during that period. And the 40s, why the 40s? Why the lowering of the age?
Why so young?
Why so young? But 40 is not as young as one might feel, because you often hear people say life begins at 40.
That's what they say.
Right, that's what they say. And you move from 40 to 50 very, very quickly. And if one wants to take retirement seriously, and you want to be comfortable at retirement, if you don't want to be comfortable, don't plan for it, you know. But if you want to be comfortable at retirement, where you don't have to depend on government or any other social agency for assistance, you need to start to plan early. As a matter of fact, there's a school of thought where we say that you should start from your first paycheck. But if you've missed that first paycheck, certainly by 40, you should have started to plan for that period, your retirement period. And Lisa, I want to say here how I want to condemn the employers across Barbados who feel comfortable and with not offering their staff retirement plans. It is unjust. And what they're quite happy to do is at retirement to give them a little purse, either a rocking chair or a clock. I don't know where they're rocking or where they're watching the time to go. But it's unfair that there are persons in this country who have built companies. Some of them have never even taken a day off. And at the end of their tenure, they get a shake hand. Even if you've done it before as employers, we are asking you to stop. I'm not saying yet that we are going to build some advocacy around it, but for sure, we are not satisfied with that. With your non-action, and we're going to be coming after you about it, because it's unfair. Companies in Barbados should always offer pension plans to their employees. Equally as important is group health. You know, you have staff working with you and there's no group health. You know, so BARP recognizes, you know, whenever there's a deficiency, trust me, we take our role very seriously. So we recognize that there's a deficiency in that department, so we provide the answer.
And you would have seen that with your 50s plus coming in and not having anything at all.
Yeah, you have 50 plus. You know, I'll tell you before I go back, let me just digress and we'll come right back. But I'll tell you what happened as well. During COVID and the COVID period when a lot of hotel workers were laid off, they came to us because a lot of them then needed health insurance. They needed some form of coverage. And some of them might have passed the age, some of them might have been close. And to be quite honest, if you were not employed and you didn't know where your source of income was going to come from, it would have been unfair of us to lead them down the path where they can get health insurance.
Right.
You know, so whereas some of them might have qualified, we recognize that. You know, they said that, you know, it's about how you're going to be able to afford it. Say, I don't know. So you can't, you know, you shouldn't then lead them down that path when they, you know, when you recognize that it couldn't have been continued, you know. So we recognize that then when persons were coming to and talking, speaking about retirement. And the fact that some of them did not even know if there was any retirement plan in place. So once you don't know if there's a plan, there's none. Okay? And so they only have to rely on NAS. So it was a very confusing period for us as well. And then further to that, when you have conversations with the 50 plus, and they immediately you ask them, so how prepared are you for retirement? Because when you come in to talk to BARP, we haven't even a casual chat. We like to know where you are with retirement. So you say, how close are you at retirement? Are you prepared? Have you gotten your figures? And they would tell, I don't have a retirement plan, I know how to start. And I'm talking 53, 54, 51. I mean, they don't have, at that age, you don't have the time and you don't have the money. Because to put a retirement plan in place at that age that will meet your retirement needs, you have to have good money because you don't have the time. So we recognize again that there was a deficiency. And BARP had to provide the solution. And so we decided if we can get the 40s, if we can get them early, it would mean that we could coax them into a retirement frame of thinking, of planning, because it's about planning. Coax them into retirement planning, and we recognize that we will have to offer programs in retirement planning, but we have persons on the outside, resource persons that we can offer such guidance. But we will ensure that those 40-year-olds know that when they reach retirement, that they can be comfortable. Because again, Lisa, we also find there are persons who come to us and they say that they're living on $900 per month. And after that $900, they're paying utilities, they're buying food.
Grocery, yeah.
So I mean, to buy a snow cone with a little milk might be difficult.
Yeah.
So we want to get our members into a position where they can be comfortable at retirement. You might not have all you want, but you might be able to afford what you need and can do it so comfortably. And again, we often say, it is all right to be young and poor. You still have friends. But when you're old and poor, people avoid you. So you should be in a position where you can take care of yourself. And Lisa, one always hope that you're in good health. Yeah. Because if you are not enjoying good health, your retirement, the pension is not as strong as it should be. And then in addition to that, you don't have health insurance.
Right.
That's trouble. So we take our role we view our role very seriously as preparing persons for tomorrow. And to prepare them for tomorrow, we start now. So that's why we lower the age to accommodate those 40s. And of course, we wanted to allow the 40s, particularly the young professionals who are self-employed, who can't access a group plan, a group health plan, and who might find an individual health plan too costly. Well, then again, if you're a member of BARP, you're 40 plus, you're a member of BARP, you're a young professional, we can meet that need because you can join the health plan. Another reason, again, we also recognize that our current health plan is aging. And we needed to make sure, because you don't want to have a situation where you start something, it has to end because it's, the cost became too high or whatever. So we recognized that we needed to have an injection, and the 40 plus then could provide that injection, thus ensuring that our seniors who need it most, with the hip replacements, the knee replacements, the cataract, you just name it, procedures that can't be postponed, that they can get what they need from a medical perspective when they need it because they have their medical card, there's a medical plan in place. So it seems as if the roles have been reversed, because what's happening now, we are asking the younger members to fund this plan to assist the seniors. So whereas the seniors would have helped them when they were younger, We are asking the younger ones to help them now. And one of the major reasons too is we're issuing a social change, the power of the intergenerational mix. And BARP's face might change a bit, we might, but our mandate and our focus will remain the same. But what's going to happen is that at BARP, you would find that we will be demonstrating the power of the intergenerational mix. And so the seniors are no longer fearing the young ones. And the young ones now are respecting the seniors and recognizing that the seniors, they too have a role to play. So, you know, we're not going to discard our seniors, and neither are we going to disregard our young people and say, you know, y'all know what's happening or whatever. The young and the old, we're going to show Barbados how we can work together in harmony as we seek to build a society that recognizes and respects each other regardless of where you are.
Now, a major decision like that, bringing such young people into your membership come early next year, Lord willing, it could not have been done without some blowback. I'm sure you had some criticism.
We had some criticisms, and quite honestly, we were prepared for it. And because opposition helps you to refine your process. It's not to destroy you or retard the movement. You know, sometimes you're driving forward and you go reverse just to be able to put yourself in a different alignment. And then once you align different, then you can go forward. So the opposition was embraced. And it helped us to refine our responses and also to share with them, because sometimes the opposition came from a point of not enough information. So then you were able to share information with them. Some of them might have changed their views, maybe some, not all, but we can't all think and operate alike.
Correct.
But the opposition was indeed welcome, and it was expected. And but you know, this is it when you're creating, when you have a new idea coming, particularly whenever there's change, you will expect a level of opposition. So I'm certain if we had here this today, the first president of BARP or the founding group, they would share with you what opposition they too encountered when they formed BARP. And going off a bit, and I'll come right back on, but I recall speaking to one of the ARPs in the region, and she had said to me, Marlene, when COVID is finished, I want you to bring a team down, because members are not joining the organization because they don't want to feel as if they're old. So because people have this fear of identifying as being old, they were not joining their organization. I said, girl, not in Barbados, because from the time the people get age 50, they're on our doors knocking. They want to get in because they want to become a member of BARP. So the same will happen with the 40s. I know people would probably say, well, if it's 40s, then it can be the Barbados Association of Retired Persons. And I'm saying it was 50s, and we were the Barbados Association of Retired Persons, and we didn't retire at 50. So we don't have to go through a name change.
I was about to ask, yeah.
That's all right. We don't have to go through a name change, because in the US, you say AARP.
That's right.
So Barbados, I want you to get prepared. You will now say BARP, you'll say BARP.
Just BARP.
Just BARP. That's all you need. There is enough power in that BARP.
Are you expecting a lot of those in the 40-plus age group to become members because they want the advantage of the discounts?
They want the advantage of the discounts. They want to be able to join the health insurance program. And they also want to be able to be associated with a successful organization, a successful, large, and well-managed organization. So that is why people too would want to come to BARP, because they recognize it's not a fly-by-night organization. It's an organization that has power, reach, and immense local respect.
And the age change was not the only change made to your constitution at your recent AGM. What are some of the changes you can speak?
Yes, certainly. Some of the other changes were the quorum.
Mm-hmm.
Because last year, and we experienced this because of COVID and because a lot of our members fell into that vulnerable group. So people were hesitant to come out for the physical meetings, and that was understandable. So last year, 2 meetings had to be postponed because of a lack of a quorum, because our quorum is 200. And when we canvass other organizations, some of them, the quorum was low as 50. But our team, the resolution team, and we supported them on this move. They thought that 50 was too low for, so we moved to 100. We've lowered it to 100. And even our first meeting that was called for December 2nd, that too had to be postponed, adjourned, because we recorded like 151 persons. We went so close, but we couldn't get to the 200. But on the meeting that was held on the 6th, we had 219 persons. And that meeting started, and when we finished about 9:54 p.m., we had like 171 still, being present. So we have been able to achieve the lowering of the quorum, which would ensure that our business can be continued when next we meet, because our next meeting will be July. That's our slated time for the AGM. We also addressed virtual and hybrid meetings. And again, 26 years ago, all meetings were physical. It wasn't a thought. Nobody knew anything about COVID. We never thought that technology would reach the stage where you can sit in your room and convene a meeting, and it was just not there. And this to show you how BARP, as a seniors organization, let's call it the seniors organization, how we have been able to adjust. Because there's still some organizations, I'm certain, that would say, no, we're not changing, we're not going to have any hybrid meetings. No, but we recognize in order to continue, in order to do business, in order to meet our members, we needed to put this resolution in place. So that was passed, which allows us to hold virtual plus hybrid meetings. So going forward, let's say that next year, July, and everything is okay, and we are hoping that we will be able to host a virtual meeting, but there are members who might not have access to the technology, that we will be able to hold the hybrid so that we can have some members in the audience as well. And we do look forward to that, because there were some familiar faces that we missed. And quite honestly, although we were able to meet our members, where they were in safety because they were at home, the interaction, the looking at faces, familiar faces, we miss that. But we recognize that this was made in the interest of public health and safety.
You touched on COVID-19 briefly. I want to discuss that when we return.
Yeah.
We'll take a break here. You're watching One on One.
Everything comes at a cost. And these days, no one profits from the loss, like when a child is forced to trade school day socialization for screen time study, when a disease decides to disrupt our daily routine, and suddenly every one of us is coming undone, losing loved ones' lives and livelihoods, breath and breadwinners, families and festivals and freedoms. God, we feel like it's too much hassle to be human. We will always remember the years the earth spun quieter, but Mother Nature showed us how the simple act of standing still can wage war on an illness. So may we remember how to be our own army, how it takes cooperation for a community to build immunity, how unity can nurse us back to normalcy. Why stop at one family when we could save all?
Hello, I'm Dr. Ingrid Burrows, and I'm going to give you some tips on managing your hypertension. The first thing you should do is to decrease your salt intake. You should keep your salt intake to less than 1 gram a day. This is equivalent to about 1 teaspoon of salt every day. Another thing you should do is to ensure that you're getting enough physical activity. You should aim for 150 minutes of aerobic exercise every week of moderate intensity. For example, brisk walking, light jogging, swimming, or running. This equates to half an hour of exercise 5 days a week. You also want to increase your intake of fresh fruits and vegetables. It is advised that you eat 5 servings of fruit and vegetable every day. And the last thing you can do is monitor your blood pressure at home with a digital machine. This is very important as some patients have elevated blood pressures while in the doctor's office while having normal blood pressures at home. This is called white coat hypertension. Also, if you're taking medication for your hypertension and you notice any changes in your blood pressure, you can call your doctor and he or she can adjust your medications to suit. If your readings are too high or too low, you can inform your doctor and he or she can adjust your medications appropriately. I hope these tips have been helpful.
And welcome back. Now, Ms. Risboyne, just before the break, you had mentioned COVID. Now, COVID-19, I'm sure, has had a deleterious impact on BARP. I want to first look at it from a financial perspective before we deal with the health aspect.
Okay, first, from a financial perspective, we witnessed a slight drop-off in membership. And we recognize that even now, as recent as over the weekend, some persons were asking, BARP reopen yet? Because although you think that you've said enough, members probably don't understand that we have fully reopened. So because we were closing so often, you know, with the lockdown, and then whenever something happened that we figured that we were not planning to expose any of our members or staff to COVID. So, you know, as a precautionary measure, we would close. But what has happened is, so the impact on BARP from a financial perspective was not tremendous. That's being very honest. But where we experienced the loss was from complaints or comments from our members. We also quite recently conducted a survey, a very small, a sample survey, and we did it via conducting some wellness checks. So over the last, I think it's 4 or 5 weeks, we had a team, a dedicated team that came in on a daily basis, and they were touching base with members, finding out how they were doing, how they were coping with COVID and all that. And Lisa, I really must say this, you know, of the numbers polled, we recognize that 70% of those polled, all of them were fully vaccinated. So whereas on a local level, the uptake has been low, we can say at BARP among our membership that we are satisfied with the uptake. But members felt abandoned, they felt isolated, so we had to try and get some programs, you know, something in place that they can feel that connection. And as I said, the wellness checks proved very enlightening, because then you got to touch base with people. Personally, I was not involved, but we read the reports. But most people would say, like, you know, hoping that the team conducting the wellness checks could call again, because they felt as if they have been cut off. And whereas before COVID, they would journey out to post office, sometimes probably some of them leave home with no plan in place, but they're just leaving the house. But with COVID, and too many of them have experienced loss.
Right.
They've lost members from the church, they've lost members from the community, they've lost family members. So that loss sort of put them in a position where they became afraid to go outside. Whereas initially, you will recall, we were hearing stories of seniors joyriding. Once seniors started to drop, then they realized that there's a need now for me to protect myself.
And I wanted to touch on that because the majority of the deaths, unfortunately, that Barbados has recorded from COVID-19 has been our seniors.
Yeah. We've been hit really hard. I mean, we have lost a huge chunk of the reservoir of knowledge. We've lost a huge chunk of our nation builders. And whenever you see it, it's 61, 87, 7, you know, whenever death comes, it's hard, but it is more impactful when you are seeing the number of seniors. And what is even more equally as painful is the fact that quite a few of them are unvaccinated.
Of those, the
Yeah,
numbers that
of
died,
those,
yes.
yeah. So our seniors, as I said, felt abandoned. And so we said, let's touch base with them and, you know, let them find out what's happening in their lives. And at one stage in the vaccination program, in the earlier stages, way back, early up this year, I think it was around March or April, what we did at BARP, we requested a list of the over 70s. And then we deployed a team of volunteers again and to call and secure appointments for those 70s. So because again, the members were calling and experiencing difficulty in securing appointments. So we said, listen, they said we have to find the solution. I mean, once there's a problem, we don't have a choice. We must find the solution. And so we provided that solution by assisting with making appointments for the 70+ persons, and that proved well. And of course, the vaccination clinics. We had 2 pop-up clinics. Again, those pop-up clinics though, we didn't have very many first-time persons coming for the vaccine for the first time. We had a lot of boosters.
Right, because by that time they would have had their...
Yes, we had a lot of boosters. And they came and they expressed comfort at being able to sit at BARP, and they felt as if they were home. And they were truly at home because nobody had to stand. So we had covered spaces or we partnered. There's so much power in partnerships. We partnered with one of our donors, 7 Seas. So we had the 7 Seas tents, and then we provided each member with a little goodie bag, bottled water, and some crackers. So just to keep them going, and everybody received a mask as well. So if they came with 1 mask, they left with a new mask, compliments of one of our partners, 7 Seas. So they sat in comfort and they felt as if they were at home. And I don't know, well, for sure, you know, the year is almost ending. So we wouldn't have another clinic for the year, but we'll wait and see what happens in the new year. And if need be, we would mount a clinic again because our members feel more comfortable at BARP. And I must stress that not all the persons who came were members. And we didn't dig that deep to find out if you were indeed a member. But what happened is during conversation, you know, everybody would say, but you know, I'm a member of BARP and I was a member so long. So that kind of, you know, they felt as familiar and happy and safe. So they shared, you know, their position on BARP and all that. So it was good bringing them together to assist them in protecting themselves and families.
No, I know you said about 70% of those that you called were fully vaccinated. However, have you had any other data with regards to your seniors being vaccinated in general?
No, you mean, no. From a national perspective, only other data we would have had or been exposed to would have been what was shared from a national level when Dr. Ferdinand expressed disappointment of the slow uptake. And we also heard from from a local, you know, it wasn't our experience that there were persons being advised not to go forward, particularly where they're being looked after by other members who were anti-vaxxers and telling them they can't go and get the vaccine and all that. But that was not our experience. That was the local experience. And indeed, it is regrettable. And I'm hoping that as the year progresses, that people will see the wisdom of allowing their seniors, even if they choose not to be vaccinated, please allow your seniors to get that vaccine so that they can save their lives. I mean, the evidence is there. The seniors are dying. And if you know of a reason or that if you could provide a solution though small it may be, and that you were said, look, either give them the vaccine or let them die. I'm certain that if we had that option to exercise, that all of us would choose to let them get the vaccine, because we all love, respect our seniors. So to lose them that way is really, really hard, really, really hard, difficult to deal with.
Outside of COVID, obviously, and lack of insurance, whether it be medical or otherwise, what concerns do you have as BARP president concerning the elderly population in Barbados?
We are still concerned about the high level of elder abuse. And elder abuse, because it's not documented, so you can't say there are X amount of cases, but I'm hoping that we reach a stage where we can actually quantify it, because we need to be able to put programs in place. And the heartbreaking thing about elder abuse is that it's perpetrated by people that you love. And people sometimes don't call it by name, particularly in the area of financial abuse. And that is an area where a lot of our seniors are exploited. They come to us and sometimes they show you bank statements. They tell you stories of situations where they allowed persons to live in their homes, and then the persons just took possession, or they allowed family members to build on their land and to sort of help them out, and it didn't work. And you know, you feel their pain, because when you're betrayed by people that you love, it's hard. And then sometimes it is difficult for the seniors to speak out, because how can you speak out if the person that's causing the abuse prepares my meals and makes my bed up at night? You know, so it is a real difficult situation that some of our seniors find themselves in. And I'm hoping that with time that we could, we would have to, of course, offer more programs in elder abuse, and let's call it by name. And that's the thing, because sometimes people don't term it abuse. They figure, you know, she just unfriend you a little, but it's abuse. Let's call it by name. And it's because people tend to think of abuse only physical, but that financial abuse, that's rampant. And it's difficult to tell somebody, a senior, if you're not leaving home, if you can't leave home, if you're bedridden, you say, well, you give your debit card or you give them access to your account, and then when you realize the money has, disappeared. And you have a lot of situations. I mean, we get so many calls where people take the seniors' pension checks, and they get access to the money, get the checks cashed, and the people can't get even the money to buy, sometimes even to buy basic toiletries and, things like even like some fruit and, So abuse is one of the areas of major concern. And as I said, as we gaze into 2022, that is one of the areas that we are going to have to focus more attention on, and see how we can bring, some laws have to be put in place to protect our seniors. And unless you have a law and you put a few people before the court and you send them up to dolls, it's not going to change. You're not going to get the change, because these seniors are not even going to come forward because they are fearful. But if they know that these people that are abusing them, particularly financial abusers, that they can go to prison, maybe they might just come forward and speak out. And so that is one area. And another area I would like to see fix, and I'm certain, as I said, as we look into next year, we would make a few decisions as a board. But from where I sit as president, I would like to see us reach a stage in this country where, you remember around Cricket World Cup, quite a few persons had added on rooms to their house to accommodate guests, right? I would like to see a stage where persons can build that room onto their home to accommodate a member of their family, mother, father, brother, sister, you know, somebody, an elderly person, and you can get the tax benefit. If you can get that tax benefit, I'm certain more persons will do that, thus ensuring that their family members could be in a home setting, even if they're bedridden. You know, you can move from one room and go and just say hello to them. Even if they're bedridden and you have a caregiver with them, but at least they can't be unfeared because the supervision is there. And they can hear the voices of children, they can look outside and see life. And I figure that we need to help extend and bring cheer to those persons who would have already paid their debt to society. And that's one of the areas that concerns me, because, Lisa, I look at my own life and, you know, we don't know what can happen. And I would hate to think that I'm reduced to a suitcase and I have a little cupboard here where I have to put my toiletries and my clothes, and I'm in a bed, just lying down on a bed and just seeing people all around me. Because you don't know what balls life could bring. And I would hope that I could age in place. I'm hoping that if my health changes and that I can age in place, and that's what I really would like to do. I don't, and this is something my children and my grandchildren, my friends don't. I want to go in a home though. Yes, huh? Put me in a room, put me somewhere, get help. Put help. I have the funds there put aside, get help. But I want to be home. I want to hear the grandchildren and great-grandchildren laughing. I want to look outside and see the soursop tree with soursops. I want to see life. I don't want to be pushed away. And there are times when you can't do better. But I'm certain that if an incentive was given, I'm certain that some people will take it up and make lives for seniors a lot more palatable.
You were recently re-elected to your second term as president. If you had one wish for BARP going forward, what would it be?
Oh, my plate is so full. Well, my one wish has been granted is lowering the age for, entry into BARP. And Lisa, this is not often, but you've actually stumped me. Because I just want us to continue to be strong and to be a viable organization. And I'm certain that we can. We are very well managed. And we are indeed, we have a paid secretariat. But I lead a team of volunteers because the board of directors, we are all volunteers. So we give of our time, we give of our energy, we give of our resources, we give of our passion to BARP, because we are committed to making a difference. We are committed to enhancing our spaces and just making sure that we change Barbados. And we change Barbados into the type of country that we would want to see and live in as seniors.
Well, as someone that will soon be a member of BARP, I thank you for your service and thank you very much for talking to us this evening. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, and whenever the time comes for you to join BARP, please come on down. But in the interim, you might want to just pass through in your role in the media, pay us a visit at BARP so you can see our headquarters, you can see that we are indeed differently able ready. We have our ramps, we have lifts. Just come and pay a visit to BARP.
I promise I'll do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
very much.
That was the president of the Barbados Association of Retired Persons, Ms. Marlon Rice Bowen. I'm Lisa Lord, and you were watching One on One.